to Motor City Comic Con 2015.
Hi, everybody. If you don't know me, my name's Dave Agins. I'm usually here. I am a freelance publishing artist for Nickelodeon, where I get to do lots and lots of books, especially for SpongeBob. So, I'm gonna do a little bit of interviewing, moderating of a certain someone here, and then we're gonna open it up for some questions and take it from there. So, it is with extreme pleasure that I get to introduce to you one of the top voice actors around in animation today, a former roadie for the rock band Supertramp, and SpongeBob himself, Mr. Tom Kenny.
Like a trained seal.
And you sound even more important if you put them together.
Yeah, there you go. I know. Mr. President, the aliens are here. Okay, it's a press conference. I didn't hear your intro. How was it? Did you talk me up? Because these people seem very unenthused.
I've been better.
I'm having more fun than you guys, and I know that's wrong. That's not how it's supposed to work.
So just to get it out of the way, after looking at a list of, especially all the animation shows that you've worked on over the years, I very quickly discovered that it's faster to list the shows that you haven't worked on. So, Hair Bear Bunch, didn't work on. Fred and Barney Meet the Thing, did not work on.
Did not work on that one.
The Boba Fett animated short in the middle of the
From the Christmas special?
Yeah. Yes, did not.
With Harvey Korman?
Did not work. The Arthur did not work on. Everything else since the dawn of TV animation, you were on, which is odd since you were born in 1962.
Very good year. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I would just like to start. I want to know if the young Tom Kenny had any signs of what the heck is sitting next to me right now.
You mean, was I a nerdy guy with glasses? Absolutely. You mean, did I have a...
Just in the career path that you have found for yourself, was there any sign of that as you were a young lad?
Yes, absolutely. Like I just did career day at my kid's school on Friday, and was, you know, had to talk to these fifth graders about, you know, they just had like a dental hygienist and a nutritionist and a cop, you know, talking about how you got to the job that you're at. And so I was able to like make a PowerPoint. Have my kids make a PowerPoint for me because I don't know how to do it. Hey, it's 11 o'clock, make me a PowerPoint for tomorrow. It's like, you know, it never stops. Life is grammar school and for the rest of your life. But, you know, I got to educate them about, you know, Mel Blanc and people like that, and you know, tell these kids that, yeah, I was obsessed with cartoons. I watched them probably a little more intensely than the average kid did. You know, I didn't realize that was a little weird, but yeah, I would watch all the Looney Tunes. Popeye was a huge obsession. Bullwinkle and Rocky were a huge obsession. Underdog, and I was just really like, I love the shows, I love the characters, and I loved the voices of the characters, and started to wonder who did these.
Yeah, that Simon Bar Sinister just
gets
everyone.
so great, and you know, in trying to tell these kids that, like, in the pre-Google age, you couldn't just like type something in and like all the sum total of human knowledge about that thing comes up on the screen. It was hard to find out about who did the voices in these cartoons in the 60s and 70s. It was like spelunking or something, you know. It was like exploring caves and trying to find something out. There were no books in the library about it. There was nothing about it, and you know, so just trying to read the credits on our. We didn't get a color TV until 1976, till the bicentennial. My family had black. I didn't know Star Trek was in color, or that this. It's like, wow, after they get to Oz, it goes to color? I didn't know that until the 70s. was all sepia. But so, yeah. So like watching, I would see that card, at the Looney Tunes, it would say, voice characterizations by Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc, some people say. And I would go, wow, who is that guy? And then you'd find out that he did, the Bugs and Daffy and Tweety and Sylvester and the Tasmanian Devil and pretty much everybody on Looney Tunes except a few of them. And then Barney Rubble, Meet the Thing. And then you would, and then you'd see other names like June Foray. I go, wow, a lot of the cartoons with females in them seem to have this name June Foray in them. Okay, so is she Rocky and Natasha? Just trying to figure this stuff out. So, long story short, I guess I was, more into it than most kids.
Which is fascinating for me because as somebody who grew up to draw and as
yes.
a dad drew, we were looking at a lot of the artwork and enjoying the vocals, but obsessing over the takes and the close-ups and the background styles.
Yeah, I mean, if I could have, I wanted to be able to draw, but I just didn't have that aptitude. Like, I would have loved to be a cartoonist or an animator, but I realized that kind of my way into that was going to be maybe through a vocal thing. So I kind of want, I had this dream that it would be a pretty cool job to be one of these adults that makes the voices for these cartoons, who talks for Yogi Bear or Huckleberry Hound or Top Cat or Popeye or Bullwinkle or some of these people. And I was just really, really, really into that.
Well, then the next thing that I get from young artists, is college. What then, if you have that kind of interest, what was the choice and what was the college path?
Well, interesting is I have a 17-year-old who's starting to look at colleges, and neither my wife or I went, so we're going, man, we are total hillbillies trying to figure this stuff out.
Didn't?
I started doing stand-up right out of high school, pretty much.
Awesome.
I took a year off. I had to go and tell my dad, I don't know that there's a college that can teach me what I want to do, And I kind of only had a vague idea of what I wanted to do. I knew that I didn't want to do something conventional. All I knew is that I wanted to do have a job that was unconventional and maybe creative and fun and involved writing or something. I didn't really have a cohesive idea, but luckily, Syracuse, I grew up in Syracuse, New York, and it was a small enough town that you could kind of just take stuff over. So like in high school, it was big enough that there was culture there, but small enough that you could kind of make your own stuff, like DIY kind of thing. So in high school, Bobcat Goldthwait, comedian, and now he's a cool hipster indie director, all of a sudden in his second incarnation. Bobcat Goldthwait, who I had known since first grade, we met when we were 6, him and I just went into a local bar. We were 16, we were younger than my kid is now, and we just went into like this local biker bar and said, hey, we want to do a comedy night in here. It's empty. It's a Tuesday night. How would you like it if we put together a comedy night in here? We'll do sketch comedy. The guy was like, okay. We were 16. And then we also, he and I had answered an ad in the local, lefty arts giveaway paper, the Syracuse New Times, where they were advertising for stand-up comedians to be, they were looking for stand-up comedians to start a comedy night, and this was before the big 1980s stand-up comedy boom. So Bobcat and I, who were basically children, showed up. And
this would have been like 78.
Yeah, 78, exactly. And we showed up, and so I started doing stand-up in high school and playing in rock and roll bands, and all this. My parents had no idea. And then when it came time to graduate high school, I said to my dad, there's probably not a college that can teach me what I want to know. Let me take a year off and figure out how to do some of this stuff. And if there's no upward trend, if I can't show a graph that's going up, I'll think about going to college now. And things started going. I figured stuff out pretty fast. So, that being said, I was able to make a living as a stand-up comedian and a writer and an on-camera actor pretty much from my early 20s on. Like I worked my last day job when I was like 23, which is good because I have no other skills, no plan B. So I may be the weakest man to ever work on loading docks, but it was what I did. So I kind of stumbled my way into voiceover through that, you know, because I was doing that stuff, and I did Letterman and I did Conan O'Brien and all that as a stand-up comedian before I was ever doing a voiceover, but I wasn't loving it.
Because you had pretty much the entire 80s, because really if you wanted to look at the big break with Rocco, that was 93.
Correct.
So there's this gigantic chunk of time, which is pretty much a career's worth of time. For a lot of industries, you know, a good 10-year period is, for some people, especially stand-up comedy, that can be an in and out period.
Yeah. Well, you know, a session musician I know, he has a theory that in show business you have 10 really good years, and then the trick is to make the ramp down last as long as you possibly can, you know? And there's actually something to that, you know? So, you know, I did all this stand-up comedy. I wrote on shows. I wrote on, you know, America's Funniest Home videos and, you know, stuff like that, just writing material for them. Long before I did any voiceover. But voiceover was what I wanted. That was my dream. I wanted to be Mel Blanc. And I would audition and audition and audition for voiceovers and nothing. You know, and I would do on-camera commercials. You know, I booked a few of those, like just as like the nerdy guy in the Arby's commercial, you know, or whatever. And hated it. But I was glad that I was doing something that wasn't working in an office or something. But I knew that people would give their right arm to me making a living as a comedian. But so I felt kind of like ungrateful at the same time that I was going, man, I'm not loving this, you know. And but voiceover was by far the toughest nut to crack for me.
Toxic Pop has a new Facebook page. Like it to see pictures and keep informed about our upcoming events and videos. A link is in the description. Go to www.facebook.com/toxicpop1.